did it? You shouldn't hear this one. They're all in the city. This morning when I got up, anyways, let's just say 6. Might have been 5. Anyway, looked out the window of the house and there's a deer in the front lawn going from apple tree to apple tree there. A little one.
He reports back to them. And then he's the doctor. Very close. It'll be too like wordy.
It'll just be too involved and it's not that it's a surf tail type thing. It is. It's on the edge. What do you think about it?
little awkward.
We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the October 17th City Commission meeting.
Packard?
Here.
Depley?
Here.
Gunther?
Here,
Johnson? Here. Summit? Here.
we can rise and say the pledge of allegiance together.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is before you if you have that, and we've added a polycart ordinance update to be given by Attorney Williams farther down in the agenda. The minutes are before you from the special meeting of September 29th and the regular meeting of October 3rd. Is there a motion for approval?
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries. Our special order today is a good one. Danny, are you going to run the special order?
Well, Kim and I are going to do this together.
Okay.
She's got an important part too. We'll have Tom Tanner come up to please. Here. This is Tom Tanner. He started with Big Rapids in 2019 as a police officer. In that time, he has been an FTO with our office. He has also been the president of their union. He recently, for the 2021 year, during our awards, was the top performer. I'm going to have to read the stats here, sorry. He took 961 calls to service, 197 complaints. He wrote 143 citations and made 49 arrests. So it's a pretty impressive year for him. His passion and integrity was also admired by his fellow officers, so they voted him Officer of the Year. He then went through a promotional process for sergeant that involved a written test. How many books were there? 4 books to read and study for the test. And then an oral panel interview with 3 local police leaders, and then an overall assessment of his performance. And he has now been selected to be a sergeant for us. And we are so very happy to have him in this role. So let's him in. Do the oath process. Here. I, Thomas Tanner,
I, Thomas Tanner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police sergeant
the duties of police sergeant
in the city of Big Rapids,
in the City of Big Rapids,
County of Mecosta,
County of
State of
Mecosta,
Michigan,
State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Anything you would like to say?
It's been an exciting 3 years with the City of Big Rapids, and I am very excited to continue my service of the citizens in my new role at the department.
Thank you.
Next in our study session is the polycart ordinance update by Eric Williams. Request of several city citizens. Eric is going to revisit the polycart policy, and we're going to work on it diligently. Eric?
So bottom line is our efforts at looking at other ordinances and looking at a way to maybe move polycarts without writing tickets in order to take care of the problem and not use a heavy-handed sort of code enforcement approach was a bust. We didn't come up with a good alternative. So we're not recommending any amendments to the ordinance to take a more passive approach or not write tickets or not hang violation notices out. And instead, we're going to go back to what I would call good old-fashioned code enforcement work, where Andrew's going to have to go out and put more notices of violations on the polycarts where the problems are, and then, if need be, resort to tickets. So we're not going to go through more ordinance amendments to deal with a real basic problem of the polycarts aren't being brought back enough on time. So we got to go out and do the same old thing that we've done to address issues like this. And there's probably a question of how hard have we been working at it. And I think there's been a relaxation, perhaps, in writing those or handing out those violations while we looked at other alternatives. The other alternatives aren't panning out. It's not a realistic way of approaching it. So we're going to go back to what did work, which is putting those blue violation notices out. We get stuck to the polycarts that are out on the wrong days and at the wrong times. And then Andrew will have to go up and knock on doors for the places that are the problems. And that was successful before when we worked at it, and I think we have to go back to it. That's really the gist of it. So no big ordinance remedy for you. Plain old work.
Questions from the commission?
Yes. I recall Mr. Hartung had recommended to us to eliminate the civil infraction as a penalty and go to the fee abatement situation whereby, if the carts weren't moved, they'd have to, the staff would move it back to the property line, and then they would be assessed a fee.
And we didn't find the ordinance support in other communities for that type of approach. And we did our looking to follow up, and that was really on me to look for more ordinance examples along those lines of what Andrew thought he found. It turned out they're not really there. So he thought they were, didn't prove out. So the concept of moving the carts for the people, we also concluded is not going to be sustainable in the long run. So rather than come up with a new innovative approach, we're going back to what we know did work when we employed it, I guess vigorously or with enthusiasm. So it's going to be on Andrew, frankly.
Yeah.
But he assured me that when he was using those notices and sticking them on the polycarts and then following up with the people that didn't comply, it was effective. So we got to go back to that.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Questions from the commissioners? From the general public?
I have one suggestion.
Who are you?
Yeah. 90300. Your present. Your present ordinance says 6 o'clock, that they should not be out on regular Sunday night before 6. But it's pitch black at 6 o'clock, so I don't think you want people having to put their polycarts out after dark during the winter. I would suggest you consider moving that to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that would be more reasonable.
Thank you for your suggestion. Others? Andrew, do you have enough time to do such a thing?
I do. I can find the time relatively easily. Cool. I can find this on relatively easily. So, we'll just go back to kind of hitting the ground with field work. Mark and I did talk earlier today about the potential of extending the time. The issue that we run into, and I think we've talked about, and Eric and I have talked about, that the ordinance is currently unenforceable, at least the way that they have it on the weekends, which it sounds like Mr. O'Neill is highlighting. Mark and I did kind of briefly discuss a couple alternatives, maybe changing it to Fridays when the carts can come out, after we have staff in here. If there is an issue, we can address the issue then. Other than that, the weekend would be kind of a trash time in the city, and that's the only real kind of change that we saw that would make a reasonable difference in the whole.
Thank you. Others? Hearing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Any other comment on that? Now, comments unrelated to items on the agenda. Oh, Danny. We'll get to you. Any public comment? Hearing none. Chief Haynes, would you like to start us on your portion of the study session?
I would. What I'm about to say might be a little unbelievable since we just had this ballroom packed with officers. However, we are struggling. Oh, I'm so loud. We are struggling to hire. We are struggling at this time to recruit qualified candidates to consider hiring. What I have wrote in the packet to you, you'll see is what we discussed a few months back with the sponsorship of a recruit through a police academy. The cost of that is around $10,000, and our timing is kind of a blessing at this moment because the state of Michigan, through MPOLS, has just been awarded so much money to give as sponsorship funds to departments to help pay for that. So they will pay up to $20,000 for a recruit to attend an academy, and then another $4,000 to kind of supplement the wages that they would be earning during that time. We've been to several police academies throughout the state in the last few months. I've reached out after the recruiting efforts. My Sergeant Hodder have gone through making that initial contact. I've followed up with them. We're not getting any additional feedback or any more applicants. So what we currently have is 2 to 3 that we'd like to consider the sponsorship for. But we want to really develop our recruiting program and doing a recruiting video and having our YouTube channel and just getting a lot more information about the department and about the city out there. With, let me see, sorry, so I'll look over my notes here quickly. With the option for the MPOLS sponsorship that they're offering now, we'd be able to, I think they said roughly 25 recruits per agency in the state. At least that's kind of how it's equaled out to when you look at the different number of departments. So that would get us by for quite a while, I would think, but we also have the ability to work alongside Michigan Works as another option. I have currently 15 sworn full-time police officers who work the road and are in specialty assignments. One of those is school resource officer, the other is community resource officer. I'll be coming back to you shortly, I hope, with the promotion of a detective sergeant. All of these positions are absolute needs to help build on our transparency within the community, to continue providing the level of service that the deserves. But we need different ways in order to work towards hiring. Another thing is with these wonderful people who are all here tonight that I need to keep them. And another piece of that is so the retention, which I'm proposing just an annual stipend for them to show their appreciation, they're appreciated for all of that extra work, the holidays, the weekends, the birthdays, the anniversaries, the kids' sporting events, everything that they sacrifice to be here to serve the city. It's a job that they love and they take great pride in. And as you know, the cost of everything is going up, and I do not supply them with stocks, but we do supply them with other equipment. But from time to time, there are other purchases that they'd like to be able to make to accompany them while working, whether it's a gear bag, maybe a different type of holster, that type of thing. So I think this would be a nice gesture to show them that they too are appreciated. I guess I did forget to mention that we need to consider a hiring bonus for anybody. We are competing with several agencies, and they're all offering something special. And I think this is one thing. If we gave a $1,500 bonus once they completed their probationary year, that would be something different that would draw interest to our agency. So I think it's covered most of everything. I don't know if you have anything to add. I think that covers pretty much everything. Any questions?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit more about the purpose of the recruiting video and the YouTube channel. Who's the target audience of that?
Well, we've been talking that our target audience, we need to start younger, much earlier, so high school. And we do things, I don't know if you saw the short film at all last week, but that we included MOFD, the Career Center, kids who do the public safety program there. So every little bit that we can reach out and connect with them and others in the state, I think is going to help.
Any questions from the Commissioner?
I have another one. It sounds like you're also having some challenges getting current staff to go for additional certifications. Is that, I may not be stating that correctly, but that's how I read it.
It's not any additional certification, but we do have other training available. Things where they can train the trainer, whether it would be our in-house department trainer, those types of things. And it is hard with the current climate, how it's perceived that people feel about police officers right now.
Two things. Are you aware of any data that shows success of these kinds of sponsorship programs from other municipalities that have used it?
I don't have any. I know that we're kind of behind the ball because some of the larger agencies, they've been paying right out of pocket to do this, and they're hiring 10, 20 at a time. Just something that it seems more and more of the applicants that all agencies are seeing have not been through an academy yet.
Okay, just one other question for you. We are doing a lot of looking into and talking about marketing. In fact, we're doing, I believe, our work session this evening on marketing. And so I'm wondering if, and I don't know if you have an answer to this right now or not, but something to think about. As we're talking about marketing the city, how the city commission, how city government can help you market the graphics to this audience. Because it's in all of our benefit to be trying to recruit good people into our public safety. So just something to be thinking about, so that we can help you with that and include it in our language and our messaging as we're going about getting our marketing plan together.
Absolutely.
Chief, could you list the three main things that either encourage officers to leave us or encourage officers not to come here? I assume one is salary.
salary is one. The opportunity for different types of assignments. We don't have a SWAT team, a K-9, so this more specialty positions, things that we don't offer. I think the last one is sad as it is that they just are changing careers in general and just leaving law enforcement.
That's the worst one of the two.
Yeah. So.
How do we compare to other cities our size with starting wage, say?
I think we're pretty fair. I think
starting out, I mean, we're quite comparable, but it's topping out. Sometimes we might be a little low there. And then, the opportunity, other agencies might pay for some of those special assignments, so you get extra pay for doing this or doing that, type thing. So the thought behind doing a sign-on bonus, if you can encourage them, entice them, and, to speak to Commissioner Cochran's comment or question about the marketing, yeah, we need to do that. Not just, yes, we're struggling with police, but just in general, being that we've did so much hiring in the last year, we are struggling overall whenever we have an open position to try to get people to come in. So how can we sell the city of the Graphics that this is an amazing place to live and work, and that the pay and the benefits are great. A lot of people look at the public or the private sector versus public sector. Police work, that's not so much the case and stuff, but just kind of selling the whole package. So I think we're comparable on the front end, but sometimes we're topping out, type thing. I've just looked, actually, I happened to be at a concert Saturday night and then met a sergeant from Kentwood PD, and we were chatting. And so I went out and checked out their website over the weekend, and they start out the same as us, but they top out almost $15,000 to $20,000 more than what the city does. And that's Kentwood. I mean, that's Grand Rapids, but still, type thing. So, yeah, what can we do? We've got to do something.
Others? Please. And we have a mic for you.
I'm pretty loud. I taught 25 years.
We'll give you a mic.
Okay. My name is Greg Denny, 323 Pin Marquette. I'm on the 345 board. And my question to you, Chief Haynes, is our benefit and retirement package, how do they compare to other cities? Other size?
Unfortunately, the city of the Rapids does not have, if you're an officer, the city does not have an active pension plan. So a lot of, if you're going to go into working as a police officer, you're going to find an employer that offers a defined benefit pension plan. And the city does not define contributions. So that's where, the city of Mount Pleasant or other agencies are ahead of Big Rapids because they offer the pension. That's the big thing. When you look at the other benefits, the insurance, some offer post-employment benefits, retirement benefits you can buy into or have retiree health care coverage. I know, for example, the city of Mount Pleasant, they offer that. Police officers, they retire, they have access to their health insurance program. And that's something that the city of Big Rapids doesn't. We have other things in place. There's the 457 where we encourage employees to set aside money to help pay for that in retirement, but it's not something that's specific for retirement health care. So there's some things that we have, some things that we don't, but the pension is a big thing when it comes to benefits.
In general, defined benefit pension plans are not feasible in today's world.
Very true.
Correct.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you. Mark, what's the next plan?
the county has the same problem because we don't have a pension plan anymore either.
Correct.
401.
Yep, that is
The
correct.
sheriff's office.
Mark, how are you going to handle, how are you bring it to the commission in the future?
Well, Mayor, we have on the agenda as part of our financing package, this has funding included for this effort. Now, I anticipate that you're gonna hear about it periodically. I think there could be times where we need to tweak things and change things, and we need to have an ongoing conversation about it. But, we feel like there is some time pressure associated and want to move forward, and that is built into the financing package again. Another thing to consider is sort of, financing somebody through the academy, but, if the economy changes or our world changes somewhat and maybe we do get a fully qualified candidate, do they just get the 1,500? I think there's a number of things that are going to have to be ongoing and Danny's going to be confronted with and probably going to be back here talking about. But I would say, Mayor, from staff point of view, we want to try it. We want to try it now, if that's okay with you. That's your role is the financing role, and whether or not we're able to do that.
We'll discuss it again in the agenda item coming up on 10C. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Now, public comment unrelated to things on the agenda. Hearing none, we'll go to general business. Resolution accepting a proposal from American Ramp for the skate park. Mark.
Yeah, I'll tackle this one. Thank you, Mayor. So we've been continue to work on the skate park, credit to community development folks, Jessie especially, and her talents and hard work to keep us moving forward. We've raised some money, as you know, and we have targeted a grant application that would be due April 1st from the DNR Trust Fund. And to be able to have a quality application, we need some more detailed engineering work done. American Ramp Company is who we've been working with so far, and we have a proposal from them to do for $17,000 to do the work. Now we're able to work with them because of our partnership with a purchasing entity called Sourcewell. That may be new to the commission or new. We don't use it all the time. Traditionally, we did our own projects out, but Sourcewell has done the bidding efforts. American Ramp Company is who they recommend working with and who we have already been working with. So it's a good partnership there. So recommend moving forward and happy to answer any questions.
Questions from Heather or Mark? There's a motion for the resolution accepting proposal of the American Ramp Company to design and engineer the park.
So moved. Support.
There's a motion and support. Other questions? Anyone? Okay. Any roll call?
Packard?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Thank you. The next resolution is regarding, once again, the bonds for Hemlock Park. We've done many different resolutions and motions regarding Hemlock Park. Is this the final one, Mark?
We'll have to accept the bids for the construction of the splash pad, but for financing, Mayor, yes, I think this is our final piece of the puzzle.
Questions? Carl, anything regarding bonds?
No, just that we wanted. You have picked LOSD Bank to fund this, and so we'd like you to accept this so we can move on with our improvements. We're looking at doing a closing on the 25th at the bank.
And then Councilor, what was the low bid?
Carla, can you remind us of the rate? I'm sure it's in there, but
316.
3.137. Mm-hmm.
So we're happy with that.
Yeah, very happy.
Very.
We had three bids. We had one from Lake Osceola, we had one from Horizon, and the other one was Huntington. Who was high? Huntington.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Is there a resolution, once again, on the bonds for the Hemlock Park project?
So moved.
Support. There's a motion for questions. Dan?
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Packard?
Yes.
The The next resolution is approving the use of the American Rescue Plan, ARPA funds. Mark?
Sure, Carla and I'll have our list together, and I'm happy to start. So, the city has received, has received the second payment.
We haven't received the second payment yet.
But October of this year is scheduled to receive the second round of funding, totaling $1,080,000 in that neck of the woods. The first payment was dedicated towards funding our police and fire services. And the second payment, we are recommending a variety of ways to use those funds. One being a renovation of this space. And we have, I think, a desire from a staff perspective, and I believe also I've heard from many of the commission, that our audio-visual presence is lacking. I know we've felt that as we've had different public meetings recently. But also this facility was renovated just about 20 years ago and needs some freshening up. Now, we have money budgeted for that project. We have talked about hiring a public relations / marketing officer, which we are ready and willing to implement, and that is not in this year's budget, and so we have funds dedicated towards that effort. We heard from Danny and Melissa about attraction and retention of police officers and retention. I think attraction is namely a problem in the police department, but retention is a problem throughout city staffing. And so funding that would accentuate our ability to keep our talented people we have and attract new talented folks. And then the remainder to be dedicated towards our capital improvement process, which will be starting soon or this month, which is the first step in our 2023-24 budget. So that's what I have for you, Mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Carla is as well. Anything, Carla, you want to add?
No, just that we make sure that these projects are acceptable uses of the funds. We're comfortable with that.
Theoretically, there is no limit as long as it's under $10 million.
Right.
We don't need $10 million.
No.
We can use it for whatever suits this mission. Yeah. Other questions?
I have a couple. So the employee attraction and retention program, that's a line item right now. Do you have a backup plan for how that's going to be allocated, or are you waiting for us to approve it and then you'll kind of lay it out on paper for us?
Happy to lay it out at any time. Yeah, we have targeted some funding, I think in the $60,000 or $80,000 range, that would be dedicated solely towards Danny's athletes, and then increases in pay to staff above and beyond what has already been negotiated in union contracts or been allocated in the budget process. That's the remainder.
I think what we talked about was a 6% increase or something to that effect for all staff.
It is.
And then the capital improvement planning process, this is just, we're going to take that money and put it in the CIP for next year.
That's our recommendation.
Other questions?
For clarification, that 6%, is that a continuing increase or is that a one-time?
One time.
And then it will stay static until another time there is an increase?
Yeah. Well, union contracts will dictate raises throughout the life of the contract.
Right.
And you'll be looking at the ASME union contract, which ASME voted on maybe a week ago at our next meeting, November 14th. And so that would dictate their raises out for 4 years, whatever the end of the fourth year is, I guess 20, whatever, 6 or something. And we have that with police and firemen, and we'll be negotiating with firemen next year, so and so on. Other than that, the raises are laid out in our budget.
Okay.
Other questions? Hearing none, we'll move to the next item. Did we pass that? Is there a motion for approval of that?
So, support.
Motion support. Further questions?
Johnson?
Yes.
Tillman?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Atwood?
DPW is in charge of the motor pool, and Scott Moore does a great job, and he identifies when certain vehicles need to be switched out through our CIP process. One of which was a dump truck that has lived its life and provided plenty of snowplow service to the city. And so we went out to bid for a new dump truck, and you have before you the 3 different bids that came in. Four that are going to be listed. And of which the recommendation is to move forward with the bid that's not the lowest bid. It's at $95,178.38 because the warranty that is provided through this particular company, they will warranty aftermarket parts. So that means like a fuel pump. If it needs to be replaced, it'll get through the warranty. The lowest bidder does not provide that either way. So that's our recommendation.
Questions for? 1 second, commissioners first. Yes, questions?
What should we do with the old truck?
So typically we try to sell old equipment if it's going to be repairable and get used, and then we'll move forward with that. Otherwise, it will just be one of those pieces of equipment that would be for old parts.
Questions? No. Mr. Denny.
Is this a new truck or is this a driving kit?
It's a new truck.
Okay, because when it's listed in cabin chassis, that's normally designated as a driving kit.
No.
It's a brand new truck.
It's a whole truck.
Talk about, okay.
Yeah.
Questions further? Is the motion for the resolution to the
Support.
motion and support? Further questions? We'll call the question again.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you going to do the compressor too?
I have to talk about the air compressor. So the motor pool manages Dial-A-Ride and those trucks, and they have an air compressor that they use, and we have one that's been lived its lifetime. It's 30 years old and needs to be replaced. So the state of Michigan gave us a grant in the amount of $7,500. We went out to bid one time before, received the bid, and the entity that came back to us, it didn't seem like they were communicating very effectively back and forth with us. And so Scott wanted to go off and bid again, and he did so. Got 3 bids and recommends going with the lowest one, which is for $5,580.
Question? Do we have a resolution for the air compressor?
So moved.
Support. Motion and support. Jenny?
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution regarding the Consumers Energy Standard Lighting Agreement is a new light at the end of Locust at River. I think right outside the dog park. There is a light there.
Correct.
So now we're going to have a light in the middle of the road, right?
That is correct. That's, we've been working with consumers. City staff extended the sidewalk further down the road on River Street. And there is a dark space where the crosswalk is located now. So we reached out to consumers, and they were willing to work with us to put a street light at that particular location, which also suffices with a request to have additional lighting in the large park area in the back corner.
Thank you. Questions? Is there a motion for the light outside the dog?
Almost.
Support.
Motion and support.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Hey, Marky, we pulled the next number.
I can talk about that, Mayor, just so it's clear on why it happened. So we had a resolution to work with consumers to provide new electric service to our phase 1 of our Mechanic Street development. And we had to pull it off for a number of different reasons. They're asking for some easements that we need to really understand better and work through. The funding associated with it may be something that can be reduced. So we need to bring that back to you, Mayor, probably in the next month or so.
Thank you. Questions regarding that? Anybody? All right, we'll go to the next one, the purchase of an intermediate pump, DFG, for the water treatment plant.
Yep.
It's an inside joke.
So the water treatment plant has water pumps that are controlled by VFDs, which are variable frequency drives. And basically, they conserve energy and control the water that's leaving the plant and going to the reservoir. So they're very essential to providing water and services to the city and the residents. And so one is in need of replacement, and that's what you have before you is with Top Line Electric, who we currently have a contract with for theater control systems and the this type of work as well.
I just have a comment that Mark and I talked about this at length. If the pump that's covering the pump that services the whole city with water needs to be replaced, I would think we'd want to just replace it and they'll come approve it at a later date. So that's pretty emergent piece of equipment. Hey, Mark?
Absolutely, and I know Eric was involved in that conversation, but I also think that may have been what actually happened.
Yeah.
Oh, Heather.
So, asking for yeah, Mayor, we do need to clarify that though, because I think our charter language speaks to a process that is different. I credit Heather and her team for probably doing what we all logically want done. I don't think it actually follows the lines of way it's supposed to be, but like you say, I mean, it's a critical piece of equipment that what do you wait around? I know we've had emergency commission meetings at different times, but that's something that Eric, we probably need your thoughts on at some point.
Will do.
Or a new charter commission.
I can't remember, Commissioner. I can't remember if it. Maybe I misspoke. Maybe it's not a charter provision. Maybe it's something that is more easily changed. I just don't remember well enough.
That's just my pet project.
Yeah, I know.
The other thing is that the limit to which the city manager can spend is too low.
Yep.
I agree.
That one takes a charter.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a motion for the pump.
So moved.
Support. Motion and support. Question. Tim?
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Eckley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Next, we're going to have a work session presented by Jesse Black regarding marketing strategy.
We're going to call the work session to order. The presenter will present their entire piece, and then the city commission will answer any questions that they want to comment on. After that, then a public may request to present as well, but we're going to go in that order.
They don't have.
We're all civil and sane today. Kathy?
Wonderful. So before everyone, I left on the table, this was a staff report that was sent to you, I believe, in the beginning of August, when this was last put on the city commission agenda. So I just wanted to start with this again this evening because it gives just a brief summary and background. So I'm just going to read it right from here. So this marketing plan has been created as part of the city's efforts to obtain status as a certified community in the Redevelopment Ready Communities program through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Having a marketing plan is RRC Best Practice 5.3. And this plan was completed in partnership with myself. The marketing plan aims to guide the city's marketing efforts for the next 5 years. And the first half of the plan just evaluates the physical assets, resources, partners, and branding guidelines that are currently in place. And then the latter half of the plan recommends goals and actions that can be implemented to expand the city's marketing efforts. And all the goals and actions have been directed towards key audiences that include businesses, residents, visitors, and developers to reflect the difference in messaging and delivery methods. So a bit of the background of how we got here was I worked with city staff to gather anonymous input and feedback related to residents' patronage in downtown Big Rapids. The survey report of the results of the findings can be found in the appendices of the marketing strategy. And this survey was conducted March 14th of this year to May 10th. Several downtown businesses hung flyers with QR codes. In the downtown area, the Ferris Student Government Association shared it on their social media page with their students. I live in a local apartment complex, so I posted it in the leasing office and laundry rooms there. And just we had it on Facebook, Big Rapids, so we tried to reach as many people as possible. And the survey took 5 minutes or less to complete. And guided people through a series of questions regarding one's favorite aspects of the downtown, their current spending habits in the downtown shop, and overall recommendations for improvement in the area. And we collected 193 responses total, and this was both between city residents and non-city residents, and there was a breakdown of those totals in the appendices as well. And in addition to the virtual survey, Marketing Steering Committee was created to brainstorm the most feasible approaches to implementing this marketing strategy. And this committee included our city manager, Mark Gifford, Community Development Director, Paul Freeby, Ferris State Associate Vice President for External Relations, Jeremy Mishler, Mecosta County Visitors Bureau Executive Director, Connie Kepke, Downtown Business Association Director, Josh Otto, Mayor Fred Gunther, Airport Manager Steve Schroeder, Mecosta County Development Director Kelly Wasquith, and led by myself. So I am going to kind of hand this all over to you now. I would really love to know your thoughts and feedback on this plan. And really, if it would be best to go through page by page and get feedback, we can get that. We can do that, but I'm kind of open to seeing how you would all like to go about it.
Okay. Commissioners.
Can I get a refresher on what the redevelopment ready community program is?
So it's a voluntary technical assistance program through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. If we want to go like way back to its inception, it actually started under the Snyder administration in 2012 under Project Rising Tide. And it was then amended, I believe, in 2016, 2017 to start transitioning towards the Redevelopment Ready Communities program, and I believe 2 weeks ago we got an email with the latest updates. So they are continuously updating and evaluating the program, and especially now that they have changed some of the requirements of the program, which I do not have right here with me, but I will definitely get that information to you. I lost my train of thought with that.
Where I was coming from is the importance of being a certified community in the RRT and what that does once they could help frame a little bit of history to frame our conversation. That's what I was looking for.
I feel like to speak better to that then is a lot of the conversations tonight that Chief Haynes was sharing, and even from the HR perspective of recruitment and retention, engaging with the Redevelopment Ready Communities program, when you look at the map and look at what communities are certified and visit those communities, you feel it. You feel that they are living, breathing every single day of being redevelopment ready. And you just see that through the vibrancy and the amount of people, the walkability, the different housing that's available, the overall opportunities and resources. And I think that really speaks to just helping to optimize everything that is here in Big Rapids and really setting the building blocks in place to let the whole world know about it too. Thank you.
I thought it was very well put together. And also another thing that in here that we've been talking about for a number of years was the Main Street program, the Strike-on designation. Actually, all of these things need to be looked at and pursued to ask people, residents, visitors, businesses to our communities, to our cities, and government. I think it's absolutely right there.
Does the program have a page on what they recommend a city marketer should be?
Yes. So I included that in the plan as part of my recommendations of based on what I've seen, how other municipalities approach it, and how it is the best use of resources and people power, is doing it through the means of the Downtown Development Authority and hiring an official DDA director that would limit the marketing to focus on the downtown district. But I think that would be a good starting point because having a DDA director would allow the city to engage with the Michigan Main Street program. And the Michigan Main Street program has 4 main principles. I am not going to remember them great off the top of my head, but they are all around many of the values and aspirations we talk about for the city of Big Rapids. And I have met with the Michigan Main Street program. I do have a brief presentation. I am more than happy if you'd like to take a deep dive into that program tonight of what that looks like. And just based on the best practices and the opportunities that are available through that program, I always talk about the Match on Main grant, but seeing how it works in other communities, I just want to present that information and let you all know what is available on the table.
I would love to do that presentation. I know that I've spoken to you about that a little bit, and I think it's very exciting and it's been a wonderful opportunity for us communities to participate in.
Focusing back on my question, do they have an outline for what a city or CDA marketer should be? Their qualifications, that's what I was kind of getting at. To help, we're having a committee right now to hire. Do they have a recommendation from that group for what your marketing manager should look like?
No, they don't have an outline of what that role should look like because many organizations have that position in place when starting to engage with that part. But if that's something you'd like me to look into, I'm absolutely happy to look into what some of the roles look like in different communities and what their duties and responsibilities are.
I'd look to market. Are you the chairman of that committee, or who's the chairman of that?
Hiring?
Of that, yeah. Because you need an outline of what they need to do.
Well, we have a job description.
Yeah, we've started. We have a draft
it would be good to
see if it looks like what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, sorry, I think we're also talking about 2 different things. We're talking about that position that we just kind of approved to move forward, but then we're also talking about this idea of a downtown, refresh my memory on what you called it, because we don't have one right now.
It's the Downtown Development Authority Director, and the funding for that position wouldn't come necessarily from city dollars. I think maybe in the nitty-gritty of it all, benefits package and stuff, that would be a longer conversation, but a DDA director position could be funded through the TIP funds that the Downtown Development Authority collects. And since there have been some new businesses that have higher taxable value in the downtown business as of recently, we have seen that TIP fund start to grow. And my recommendations are to use that growing fund to invest it in a person whose sole job would be to do marketing, event planning, and business recruitment for the downtown space.
No, so this answers the question that, and I think it fills a gap that I think we have really been suffering from. I've been asking this question for 5 years now, and that is, who was responsible for recruiting businesses into our downtown district? Because the right place, you cannot be any DC, it's more county-based.
No, shouldn't be, they're not more county-based.
Well,
but it's not. We can't, city staff can't recruit very well. It's very true. That you're walking through a field of land.
Yeah, I understand that.
That has to, I think we would have to lean on our right place relationship.
But I guess, I know for the RSU certification, you need to have a plan in place, right? Economic development plan. All of that to say, I really like the way that you broke this out with different constituents. And as we've talked many times before, and I would assume that a marketing person, the expertise to do this, would be able to do is to look at all these main goals for the different parties and pull it together into a coherent whole, from which that each part gets parsed out. But in terms of our messaging, and we talked about this, we're having a consistent message that comes across through our web, through our social media outlets, through our written pamphlets, through our messaging and so forth. I'm thinking in terms of the message, as Chief Haynes was talking earlier about what you mentioned, the recruiting, and then I asked the same question about businesses. Why do you have such a hard time attacking businesses? What are we lacking? What are we looking for that we don't seem to be offering? So I'm hoping, that I know we have a lot of great resources. They all seem to have been working in isolation. So, my dream here, so there's realistic one or not, is to kind of see that whole together. Because we already have a great deal to offer. I think we're going to have even more to offer as we go down the road with the new developments that are coming and with the trails that are being, getting going with tourism and so forth, and with what's going to happen with the depot, and all of that has great potential. But I'm very glad that we're going to be having someone who can coordinate that to get the message clear so that we can all get on board and get that pushed out. So,
and Paul and I were talking earlier today of this also as well. This is a starting point for marketing. This is a new endeavor for the city in hiring this new person. And so we hope for this to be a living, breathing document that gets revisited and gets evaluated. And once that person starts, if they say, hey, I noticed this and this isn't working, that this is the starting point, and we can only go up from here.
Well, and that's, I'm glad you talked about that. Part of my conversation with the city manager, why don't we just wait until we have the new staff member on board before we approve this? Because that's kind of like, their feedback. But as we said, it's a living, breathing document. So I can see doing it both ways. Now.
Is there any timing component to when we adopt it? The due date, so to speak? Not so much? Well, I think there's 140 cities or groups that are in the process. Is that right? 40 have been approved, or is it from
Certified what you're
RRC.
referring to?
Redevelopment readiness.
Off the top of my head, I believe overall across the state, there's like 165 communities in the program. Actually certified communities, I believe it's between the 60 and 80 range.
Right. Well, all I was saying is, this is a requirement to become certified, but that's not due on January 1st.
No.
True?
No. And our RT planner, Julia Trumbull, she is fantastic. And we use this system called Trello, that some of us in the community development department have access to, and Julia has access to it as well. And we have a way to constantly communicate and show her what things we're working on, ask questions, give updates. And then if we work on something and say, hey, this got approved, but she actually has feedback, she'll throw it back to us and say, like, hey, actually, before we fully move this over and approve it, let's do this. So
it seems like what we have here is a strategy, and less a plan than a strategy. The new marketing person is going to have to read this, absorb it, and create a plan for Big Rapids. All the strategy recommendations are adopted about the strategy, but the actual details of how you're going to utilize this strategy to form a marketing plan is not in this document. It's the next work of the next person, right? Is that true?
Yes.
No? Yeah.
And I would say that if you look at the goals and action section that starts on page 6, when we talked about it in the committee meeting, I think what we overall discussed was, especially right now with the limited resources and capacity and bringing on a new person, our intent here was not to add a bunch of new things that Big Rapids could, should, would be doing. We wanted to just start with the things that are working and are working well in the city's favor right now. So as that person gets started, they can work to tighten up some of these things. And then as this plan is reevaluated, yes, they will think through and do more very fine-tuned strategic things, but our overall intent for what we're trying to do right now in the present is just to really work with what we have and make it even more elevated and better than it currently is.
The other concern I have, I think Mark has, is do we have to, to think we have a full-time DDA person and a full-time PR marketing person and trying to coordinate the DDA to the DDA, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the MEDC, very loose and not well coordinated. That's my opinion. Just because I've done the meetings of each one, and it seems like everybody's off on a different thing, and I don't see a coordination for what's good for Big Rapids. And I don't know how we'd ever afford to have a full-time marketer PR person. I'm sure I'd have a full-time DDA person, and we're going to have to be careful how we tie this all together and make it work the way Jennifer envisions it, the way we all do it. So I think we're going to have to watch the money and the employment. And
one of the unique parts of how we run our downtown is most people don't have a DDA. You wouldn't go around and find in other comparable communities. We have sort of, ours is a mini chamber of commerce. Is how it will run for just the downtown structure, right? Not most places have that. Most places have a DDA employee person, and our DDA funds the DDA. So there's all this sort of uniqueness to how we historically run our system that just provides, kind of question marks to how we would accomplish it. But all we're talking and looking at,
give money to all these entities.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The DDA funds the DDA at about $25,000-$30,000.
We give to the chamber.
We have a chamber membership.
Initiatives in the county development.
20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just start adding it up, and my thought is always, is it doing what's best for the city?
Well, I think it's a fair question. It's always a fair question to evaluate. Yeah.
You questioned it to me. That's one of the reasons I learned that.
Sure.
I absolutely agree that there could be better coordination. In my short time here, I have really observed, yes, everyone does their own thing in their wheelhouse. And there are a lot of layers that go into that, whether some people can't play nice together, some people just don't want to. There's things that happened years ago that now we will never work together. And all I can do here as a new person in the time that I'm here is observe that other communities where not that things are not moving here, but seeing that they're moving at a good pace, just looking at what their coordination looks like, how their systems and processes are set up, and just making recommendations based on that. And that's all I can do.
Well, we're happy to hear. Yep.
Mayor, is this a document that the commission would be comfortable adopting, or would you like to see it revised further? Would you like to wait?
It does very well what I think it was meant to do. Okay. And it should, to me, this is my opinion, and it should be used by the new marketing director to move forward. Okay. That's my thought. Anybody else?
So, for a clarification, you would be in support of adopting it with the contingency that once we hire our marketing director, they have the authority to amend and adjust and tweak it to better suit the needs for as pieces, full pieces, not like that would. So that it can be that living document that we all envision it to be. Okay.
Did I hear you say that you can give us some number and give it an increase?
Absolutely.
Let me open the other part to the public before we go to the main street. Anything from the public? Yeah.
Carrie Denny, is there a cost to this RRC, and have we paid out any money to it, or is there money to that's required?
No, it is a completely voluntary technical assistance program that is free. What the RRC program does on a big picture, it really helps municipalities get their ducks in a row with their systems, processes, and key documents that help keep everyone on that same page, telling the same story, working towards the same goals. And once you do get those processes in place, and you modernize many of your things, then it opens up where the final best practice 6, is where you get access to the priority redevelopment team. And once the priority redevelopment team comes in, places like the AMC Theater or the old JCPenney building or the Hanchett site, they will work with us to create property information packages and help us market those sites, both on a local, state, and national level. And help us to move those projects along beyond capacities that we are able to do with the resources we have right now.
Yes, please.
So right now, the city and or county does not have an economic development director, right?
We have one. Yeah.
Kelly
Wozniak, hired by the right place. The County Development Corporation.
Oh, yes, okay.
Who we participate with.
Yes. But then we're talking about hiring our own for the city.
Public relations marketing person, yes.
Okay.
Which is different, but yes.
But for the whole city, or just for the DDA?
This is citywide.
Citywide.
Yes. And Jesse's talking about sort of yet another kind of twist to that. What would be a Main Street program, DDA. So I've worked in a Main Street program in laboratory with the graphics, and it's a philosophy is what I would call it. Sort of a structure around how you run your downtown. And so that would be a more applicable to how we do our downtown. I mean, we run the downtown now. Josh Piles is the DDA director. The DDA funds the DDA. And we would have to revolutionize the whole way that's looked at, which is a separate conversation, frankly. But we ought to look at it. But it doesn't necessarily this. Exactly.
I would agree with that. Yes. And I would say too, just from what I've observed, and granted this is places in similar size, some a little bigger, but oftentimes they both exist. A city staff member does marketing, and they work very closely hand in hand with the DDA director. And I like the mentality of work smarter, not harder, and that is the approach with that.
Just
so,
Yes.
we carry on with that conversation. So we're talking about hiring 2 new people?
Not in this
Yeah.
direct conversation.
Hiring one right now.
And that would be the marketing person.
Yes. PR, marketing,
For the city,
communication.
not just for the DDA.
Yes. Citywide.
Okay.
Yes, citywide.
Some confusion on my part.
No, we're kind of going to different.
Yeah.
Jesse, how long is the Main Street presentation?
Probably about 10 minutes.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm comfortable with that.
Anybody? You want to do that? That'd be, hold on, let's see it. I can help. Sometimes that's a trick. Okay, Mark, you got 30 seconds.
We're working on it, Mayor. 30 might be a little short, though. The computer was. Takes a second to do that. I struggle.
You stop that with the game.
You know, if I'm giving tech support,
It'll make me nervous. I'll get on.
It was fantastic tech support.
Oh,
It's frozen.
yeah, that's not first.
It's frozen. I know, I did that intentionally. Thank you.
Yeah.
On the budget, we do the obviously digital in the room.
I would like to think so. I would like to think they streamline a lot of what we do.
I hope this plays. This is a video. And I honestly feel like this does the best description. I don't think it's going to. So, what is the Michigan Main Street program? So, as I was talking about before, many Michigan Main Street programs are structured as a quasi-governmental organization, like a DDA or a principal shopping district. And while the districts vary in size, the application of the Main Street 4-point approach has been successful. So in all of these cases, the TIF organization, which is tax increment financing, has a responsibility of implementing the project outlined in their downtown development plan for all areas of the district. So this is the Michigan Main Street 4-point approach, and it's economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. And this model has been tested on both the national and local level. The National Main Street Program is a very robust program. The one I always reference that comes to mind, downtown Nashville. They are a Main Street program. And I have not visited their downtown, but from photos, it looks very fun. And it just provides a foundation for outlining the community's identity, expectations, and ideals for future development, all being grounded in an understanding of the economic market realities of the district. It really uses transformation strategies, both long-term and short-term, that provide a clear sense of priorities and direction to help move the community closer to implementing their vision. And one thing I really enjoy about the Main Street program is that you have to show visible results. Their reporting and evaluation process is they want to make sure you're doing the work and following along the best practices. So their evaluation is very robust. And some of the main benefits include protecting and strengthening the existing tax base, creating positive community image, creating visually appealing and economically viable downtown buildings, attracting new businesses, creating new jobs, investment in the downtown, preserving the historical architectural resources, and tailoring it to specific community needs, which we're always trying to tailor everything to specific community needs. And so just some examples from other Michigan Main Street communities. I did two. The first example is Grand Haven, Michigan. In their model, their Grand Haven Main Street is a downtown development authority, and it is split between 4 different committees of volunteers who undertake aspects related to downtown Main Street goals and are overseen by their DDA director. I am not remembering if it's Grand Haven specific, but at the Michigan Downtown Association conference last year, I know the flowers in Big Rapids are absolutely incredible, but one community shared that it became too much for their community to invest in that every year. And so they had some local folks that were really passionate about gardening, and they created a garden club, and they did beautification in their downtown. And so seeing the ways that volunteers as well, when you really care and are passionate about your community, the effort you'll put in, can really do amazing things. And their committees include organization, promotions, recruitment and retention, and preservation and place. And then the other one is from Everett, Michigan. Everett became I want to say they got their badge of honor in the Main Street program within the last 2 years. And that's during COVID as well. So it's really cool to see. And it operates under their Downtown Development Authority. And their model is they work in partnership with the local Chamber of Commerce and the municipality to implement the Michigan Main Street 4-point approach and execute their long-range plan. And their long-range plan can also be found on their website as well, if you're interested in taking a look at it at all. And this is just how we can get started. I do have some handouts I can send you all home with as well to really look at a breakdown of this. And so at this point, MEDC could host a Michigan Main Street basics training. They could do that in person, or there's a virtual option as well. I believe the commission would have to go through it, as well as the board members of the DDA, if that was something they wanted to do. And they would have to attend those trainings, develop a communications plan following the Main Street training, and develop a fund development plan after that training as well. And then you are engaged in the program. And then from there, I have an outline of what it would take to become a select level and master level community within that program. That's all. So thank you.
Questions for
I will share that video with you all as well, so you can see the video.
more business on the?
Mayor, are you comfortable if we put this on the agenda that be adopted in the next 2 months?
I would. I don't know about others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Appreciate you. I have anything else on that? I'm going to leave the work session and go to unscheduled business.
I have one thing. Commissioner Cochran and myself have been working diligently this summer at reviewing the city manager's review process. And we believe we've come to a point where we would like to have a work session. We think we've collaborated and we're ready to present that and get the remaining commissioner members' thoughts and ideas to kind of formulate this and hopefully get it in place where we can effectively start using it before we use it again.
We'll put that on one of the work sessions. We'll do it on others. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You guys got